She left me just weeks after our wedding, said it was a calling from the universe, said her dying ex needed her more than I did, said our love could wait. She packed her bags while our honeymoon photos were still on the fridge. And just like that, I was alone, watching the steaks I made for her go cold, while she played nurse for the man she used to love. I begged her to think, to verify, to remember who I was, her husband. But it didn't matter. She said if I truly loved her, I'd understand. She said love meant sacrifice. She said she'd be back when this journey was over, and then she left. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the kitchen, next to the untouched wine glasses, wondering how everything could fall apart so fast. Our friends said I was cold. Her sister called me selfish. Her best friend posted vague Instagram quotes about following your heart and the courage to love deeply. But no one stopped to ask, what about me? I watched my marriage disintegrate under the weight of a lie I didn't even know existed yet. Because here's the twist. Her dying ex-boyfriend wasn't dying, wasn't even sick. He faked it all. And when she found out, months later, after the divorce, after the heartbreak, after I'd finally begun to move on, she came crawling back with tears, with regret, with a baby bump. Yeah, that's the part she left out. She's pregnant, and the baby's mine. Now she wants another chance. Says the universe is giving us a second shot. But I'm not the man she left behind. So tell me, what would you do? Could you co-parent with the woman who abandoned you for a dying lie? We met at a barbecue I almost skipped. It was one of those days where nothing feels right. Work sucked, I was tired, and all I wanted was to stay home with a beer and silence. But my buddy Phil wouldn't stop bugging me to show up. Said I needed to get out of my cave. That's where I saw her, Emma. She wasn't dressed to impress. No filters, no pretentious smile. Just a blue sundress, her hair tied up, laughing while setting up the food table with Phil's girlfriend. She didn't look like the kind of woman who needed attention. She was attention. We started talking about how barbecue chicken is overrated. Weird topic for a cookout, I know. And we just clicked. Like everything around us faded. That conversation lasted 3 hours. And just like that, the rest of the world didn't matter. 2 weeks later, we were dating. 5 years later, I proposed during a hiking trip, nearly dropping the ring off a cliff because my hands wouldn't stop shaking. She cried, laughed, said yes. It felt like a moment that would define the rest of our lives. Something permanent. We got married at a vineyard she had dreamed about since college. She looked like magic walking down that aisle. Not dramatic, not Instagram perfect, just ours. And in that moment, I was sure I had everything I'd ever wanted. 2 weeks after the honeymoon, I wanted to surprise her. She'd been working long shifts at the hospital. She's a pediatric nurse. So I bought $120 worth of aged steaks from this fancy butcher and lit candles in the kitchen. Music, wine, the works. But she came home late. Said she'd gotten coffee with her best friend Ashley. Ashley, the woman who always thought she was wiser than everyone else, always meddling, always preaching about energy and universal alignment. When Emma walked in, she didn't even look at the table. She sat down, quiet, said, "We need to talk." I thought maybe she was pregnant. We'd joked about baby names on the plane home from Greece, but what she said hit harder than anything I ever imagined. Her ex, Mark, the one from college, had been diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma. 6 months to live, Max. Ashley found out by coincidence. Apparently, she ran into Mark's brother at a gym. Emma started texting Mark, just to check in. Then more. Then phone calls. Then, she said, Mark asked if he could spend his last months with her. I sat there, steak going cold on my plate, as my wife told me she was considering leaving. To be with her dying ex. It's not about feelings, she said. It's about doing the right thing. Ashley said I'd regret it forever if I didn't go. She wanted my blessing. She said love meant sacrifice. She said it wouldn't be forever, just until the end. I asked her if she still loved him. She cried, said that wasn't the point. I told her marriage doesn't have a pause button, that if she left, it was over. She looked at me like I was the one failing some moral test. Then she left. Not just the house, she left the marriage. That night, I sat in the dark, staring at the candles that had burned down to wax puddles. Every photo from our wedding mocked me. Every plan we made, the trips, the future house, the baby names, all turned to ash. A week later, I got an email. Not a phone call, not even a text. An email from her lawyer. She wanted a divorce. I stared at that email for a solid 10 minutes, like if I just didn't blink, it would go away. It didn't. Instead, it reminded me she wasn't just with someone else. She was leaving me for him, for her ex, for a man who wasn't even part of her life a month ago. I called Phil, the same guy who introduced us all those years ago. He came over with pizza and beer, didn't say much, just sat with me. We watched TV in silence, both knowing that words wouldn't fix anything. He kept shaking his head. I thought she was different, he muttered once. So did I. Meanwhile, Emma disappeared into another life. She moved in with Mark. Ashley kept posting cryptic crap on Instagram. Some choices are hard because they're right. Real love means following your soul, even when it breaks hearts. Yeah, easy to say when it's not your heart breaking. Some of our friends turned on me, told me I was unsupportive, said Emma was being selfless. Rachel, who I thought was my friend, said I should admire Emma's courage, proud of my wife for abandoning her husband for a dying ex. Make that make sense. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every night I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and check my phone like an idiot, hoping there was a message saying it was all a mistake. There never was. Just a text a week later. I hope one day you'll understand why I had to do this. That same day, her lawyer emailed over the divorce papers. My brother hooked me up with a real pit bull of an attorney. I wasn't going to be screwed twice. Emma wanted me to move out of the house I paid for. I told her if she wanted it, she could buy me out. She didn't. She just looked shocked that I wasn't folding like a lawn chair. When she came to pack her stuff, Ashley tagged along. Of course, she glared at me the whole time like I was the villain in this twisted story. They walked past me with boxes, whispering like teenagers. I sat on the couch with Max, our dog, and cracked open a beer. Didn't lift a finger. Then came the final straw. She tried to take Max, said she needed emotional support. I laughed in her face, told her Max was chipped in my name. I paid his vet bills, and there was no way in hell she was dragging my dog into this disaster. She left without him. The divorce was quick, too quick. She didn't contest anything. Didn't fight for the house, the stuff, nothing. I think she felt guilty, or just wanted to escape the mess she'd created. Either way, she signed over her share of the house without a word. After she left, I did what most people do. I fell apart in private, threw myself into work, started training again. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, long hours at the office, extra projects, anything to fill the silence. Max was the only thing that kept me grounded. He needed walks, needed food, needed me. So I kept moving. Some nights I'd sit on the floor next to him and wonder how I became this version of myself. 30, divorced, betrayed, and watching Breaking Bad reruns at 2 a.m. And just when I started feeling like I could breathe again, my phone blew up. 3 months after she vanished. Silence. Then suddenly, calls, texts, voicemails from Emma. I ignored her until her sister Lisa reached out. Lisa and I had stayed on decent terms. She even apologized after the divorce, said she didn't agree with how Emma handled it. Lisa texted, "You need to hear what Emma has to say. It's serious." I finally picked up during lunch break. Emma was crying so hard I could barely understand her. My first thought? Mark must have died. But no, it was so much worse. He never had cancer, never had anything. He faked it, all of it. Forged medical reports. His buddy worked at a hospital, lied to his family, lied to Emma, lied to everyone. You want to know how she found out? Mark's sister ran into her at Whole Foods. Emma casually mentioned a treatment update. The sister just stared at her and said, "Treatment? What are you talking about?" That's when it unraveled. He lied because he saw our wedding photos on Instagram and couldn't stand the fact she was married. He wanted her back, and it worked. When Emma confronted him, he laughed, said, "Yeah, I made it all up, but it worked, didn't it?" He was already dating someone else, moving to California for a new job, said she was what he needed then. But people change. She called me from the parking lot, sobbing, apologizing, begging. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so insane, there was nothing else to do. Emma kept texting me for hours. Walls of messages, apologies, explanations, memories. She said she'd been manipulated, blindsided, heartbroken. She said this was the universe trying to undo the damage. She asked if we could meet. I ignored every word, but she didn't stop. She emailed my work, brought coffee to my office, my exact order, like some sad callback to when we were happy. Even tried to go through my mom, didn't work. My mom never forgave her. She shut that down real quick. After a week of this harassment, I finally agreed to meet. Not because I wanted closure, not because I still cared. I just wanted it to be over. I picked a coffee shop downtown. Busy, public, somewhere she couldn't break down and cause a scene. She showed up wearing one of my old hoodies. That hit harder than it should have. Her face was tired. She looked small, like someone who hadn't slept in days. "You look good," she said, trying to smile. "Been working out?" "Yeah. Turns out getting left by your wife or her fake dying ex is great gym motivation." She didn't laugh, didn't speak for a second. Then she started her speech. How sorry she was, how much she missed me, how she wore her wedding ring sometimes and cried herself to sleep. I just sat there and watched her mouth move. All I could think about was the to-do list in my phone. Dog food, laundry, fix the garbage disposal, literally anything but her words. Then she said it, the line that made me nearly spit out my coffee. "I think this proves how loyal I can be." Excuse me? She tried to spin abandoning me for a fake cancer story as proof of loyalty. Said she gave up everything to help someone she thought was dying, that it showed her capacity for sacrifice, that she could bring that same energy back into our relationship. I just stared at her. "You were loyal to a lie, and the man who married you. You didn't even verify what he was dying from." She blinked hard, said I was being cruel, that I should try to see the bigger picture. Then came the spiritual crap again, that maybe all this was meant to bring us back together, that maybe this test made us stronger. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Our marriage wasn't a test. It was a promise, one you broke the moment you chose him over me. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. Then I said it. The line that shut her down. "If Mark had been dying, you'd still be with him right now. You're not here because you love me. You're here because your fantasy collapsed, and now you want your backup plan." That hit hard. She looked up at the ceiling, trying not to cry, a thing she always did during sad movies. Still the same habits, but I wasn't the same man. She started talking about therapy, how she wanted us to go to couples counseling, how she'd do whatever it takes to prove she could be trusted again. Said she wore her ring because she never stopped believing in us. I said nothing. When she finally stopped talking, she asked if I thought there was any chance, someday, that we could fix things. I stood up, left a few bills on the table. Then I said, "The man you married died the day you chose Mark. I'm not him anymore." And I walked out. Felt clean, like stepping out of a long, dark shower. I went home, hugged Max, ordered pizza, and for the first time in months, I slept through the night. It's been 4 months since the coffee shop. 4 quiet, healing, peaceful months. I've been seeing someone new, Amy. She teaches kickboxing at my gym. Funny, honest, no drama, no talk about destiny or the universe, just real. I hadn't told her the full story yet, not about the whole Emma disaster. Didn't want to drag old ghosts into something new. Then, yesterday, I was making dinner. Amy was coming over later. There was a knock on the door. Emma. She looked different, paler, tired, nervous, and pregnant. Very pregnant. My stomach dropped. She held out an envelope with trembling hands. "I'm 14 weeks," she said. "I had a test. It's yours." I did the math. 14 weeks. That was before she left. Before the truth. Before it all. She told me she found out right after things imploded with Mark. Said she hadn't told anyone but her mom. Said she didn't know how to face me. But I had a right to know. I just stood there, holding proof that I was going to be a father. To a baby I hadn't planned. With a woman I no longer trusted. While my current girlfriend was on her way over for dinner, Emma asked if we could talk. Said maybe this was another chance. A sign. I couldn't speak. Not yet. She left. Amy never came over. I told her I was sick. Then I sat on the floor with Max and tried to breathe. I sat on the kitchen floor for hours. Max curled up next to me, probably sensing the storm. Every now and then, he'd nudge me with his nose, drop a toy in my lap, like he was reminding me I was still here, still needed, still breathing. But I didn't feel real. The paper in my hand, the paternity test, was heavy. Heavier than the ring she wore, heavier than all the lies, heavier than the moment she walked away. I was going to be a dad. That wasn't a debate. It wasn't a theory. It was blood. My blood. Emma said she'd gone to every appointment alone, that she cried after every ultrasound, that she bought a little pair of socks and carried them around in her purse. She said she didn't tell me because she didn't know how, because she didn't want to ruin my new life, because I deserved peace. Now she wanted to talk about co-parenting, about what it might look like, about, and I quote, how this baby might heal what was broken. I laughed when I read that message, not out loud, not with joy, that quiet, dry laugh that never makes it past your throat. Because here's the thing. I wanted to be a father. I always had. Even when we were married, we'd lie in bed and talk about what kind of parents we would be. She liked the name